for today's video I wanted to do, oh my god, I don't actually have a coffee with me right now because one, I've already had 2 today and I'm trying to cut back, and 2 is still a lot. You're making me really want to go make a decaf right now. Might just have to do that. So hold tight right there. Let's do this. Okay, so the topic of today's video is change. I read a quote once that said the only thing that is constant in life is change, and I feel like that's probably one of the truest quotes. I feel like that's probably one of the truest quotes that I've ever read. The only thing that you can be sure of in this life is that everything changes. This can be a good thing in the sense that if you feel like you don't like the way your life is right now, or you don't like the way you feel right now, things are always changing, and there will be a time that you'll feel different and your life could look different, and the nice thing about that too is you can push that. You can push for that to happen. You can embrace change. You can actually create change, or it can be kind of a not so good thing in the sense of if you love the way your life looks right now, if you love where you're at right now, then the thought of things changing can be terrifying. I've been in the position where I loved the way my life was so much that the thought of anything ever changing scared the crap out of me, and I've been in a position where everything felt so dull or so stale, or I wasn't in a good place, and change is the thing that kind of pushed me out of it. And I think it all boils down to your perspective on change and the way we look at it. I think the harder we try and hold on to things, the more difficult change is for us. And so regardless of whether you love the way your life is right now or you don't, I think no matter what, we should always try to embrace change. Anyone that's known me for a long time will know that this is so true, but I changed my apartment, I changed the way my furniture is set up, I'll change the decor, and I've been doing this since I was like as long as I can remember. I was always changing around my room, and it's just like a breath of fresh air to change things and to embrace your own change and to force your own change when you need things to feel different, when you need a new perspective. I've also been in predicaments. I mean, the thought of growing up, I was just recently, actually yesterday, and I brought my boyfriend to my hometown, and we were driving around and I was giving him a tour, and I was kind of like in this little place in my head where I was driving down certain streets and remembering driving down the same ones in high school and feeling so different, and life looked so different. And I remember being so afraid of the change. I was so afraid that everything was changing. I was so afraid that high school was ending and that my family was changing and so much was going on. I remember being so afraid and terrified of that. And if only I could have looked forward to 5 years later, going back there and driving down those same streets and showing them to him. In my own head, I was like, wow, if only I'd known, yeah, some of the change was gonna suck, but some of the change was gonna be absolutely out of this world, blow your mind amazing. I wouldn't have been so afraid. And to any one of you guys watching this, thinking to yourself that you're afraid of everything changing and how everything is changing, and I mean, your parents are growing older, you might be moving, you might be changing schools, you might be graduating, things might be falling apart, things might be coming together, but change can be terrifying. Keep in mind that if you embrace it, and also if you try and make the best out of it and see why the change is happening, because change, everything I believe happens for us, whether it's good or it's bad. It's either to teach you a lesson or to give you a blessing. It's kind of a hard thing to wrap your head around, but no matter what is going on in your life right now that you feel like you're afraid of or intimidated by or excited for, try and see where it could be taking you. Because if I had any clue 5 years ago that I'd be coming back and this would be my job and this would be where I was living and what I'm doing, I honestly wouldn't have been so afraid. I think I would have embraced it more. And there's no way for us to know the changes that are happening. There's no way for us to know how things are going to look in 5 years. And I don't know if I would, only in the sense that if someone, I don't know, let me know what you guys think down below, but if someone came to you and was like, I can show you what your life is going to look like in 5, 10, 20 years, would you do it? I don't know if I would, in the sense that, one, I don't think anything in life is certain. I think that, again, change can also change. I also don't think I would, in the sense that I wouldn't want to see something I didn't like and just believe that that was what I was doomed for. I also like the thought of having some sense of not control but input to this change, and what I mean by that is something that I've been trying to embrace lately, and something that I was struggling with for a little while, is feeling like I had no sense of control over the things that were changing. Like there was nothing I could do about certain circumstances in my life, and I just had to accept that that's the way they were. And part of that is true. I think there are certain things in life that we don't have control over, and I think there are certain things that the only way through it is to accept it and to not let it control us. I think in any given situation, the one thing you do have control over is your perspective on it. And I think if you can change your perspective on anything, then you can really change the way you receive things in your life. And so even the things that I didn't like, even the things I was struggling with lately, it took me a while to kind of realize that, you know what, instead of looking at this as something that I can't change or something that's negative that I don't like, I could look at this as a transition, a lesson that I'm learning, and to take the things that I'm learning from this and to adapt with them and use them in a different way than I would have if this wasn't happening to me. I was watching this documentary, I'll leave it down below, but one of the things that it was on a motivational speaker, and he talks about how he had a very abusive mother growing up, and she would do some pretty nasty things to him, but the one thing that he knows is that if that didn't happen to him, he wouldn't be who he was. Anyone that goes through anything, good or bad, especially the bad though, it takes a while to kind of accept this, but you wouldn't be who you were without the bad. You can't just take the good. When it comes to change, it goes like the same way. You can't just take the good change. You have to embrace and adapt and move with the bad change because it's making you into who you are. I don't necessarily think that we have no control over where our lives are going. I don't think that there's some destination on the map and you're just walking your way to it. I think that our destinations constantly change based on our choices and our perspective and what we put out to the world. And so what I think when it comes to bad change, if you go at it with a bad attitude, then it can continuously make a domino effect in your life where everything else will start to have a bad taste in your mouth. That was what was kind of happening to me recently, where I just was so negative about all the things that were going on. Instead of looking at it as an opportunity or starting point, I was looking at it as like, what is going on? Why? Then I would just get into this victim mode where I felt bad for myself and like I had no sense of control over what was happening. It just left a bad taste in my mouth for everything else going on in my life, and suddenly I was sitting there looking at everything going on in front of me going, I am so numb to all of this. I don't even realize how amazing this all is. That is my biggest fear, that I would let those types of things affect the way I see the world. Instead of looking at not just the good, but the bad as a stepping stone in my life, I was letting it affect the way I was seeing everything and letting it create a domino effect in the negativity amongst everything else going on. You don't even realize how deep you are into it until you kind of catch yourself and you go, I don't really like who I'm being right now. And that is like one of the worst feelings, but also one of the most eye-opening feelings, because when you realize that you don't like who you've been, you can pinpoint back to where it began. And for me, it began with not liking the things that I felt I had no control over. Instead of doing anything about it or embracing it or seeing where I could work with it, sat on the floor and had a pity party and just continued on with this like pity party mentality, and it started to ruin everything for me. I decided that I needed to embrace the change and to show the universe, as corny as that sounds, that I was ready and willing to look at this change as an opportunity to move forward and transform and transition into whoever the hell I'm becoming. To look at it with a better perspective so that no matter what ends up happening, I understand why it's good for me and why it needed to happen. Does that make any sort of sense at all? I really hope so. The other things that are also changing alongside us changing and our lives changing is the world. And the world changes and the people around us change. And that can be even more terrifying because we have even less of a feeling of control over those situations too. But no matter what, I think when it comes down to it, you have to just focus on seeing everything in life as the opportunity to grow or to learn. So my camera died. I was on such a good train of thought. Where was I? I guess what I'm trying to get at here is that change is inevitable, and if you try to avoid change and you try to push it away, it's just going to have its way with you. It's just going to take over and it'll start to control you instead of you controlling it. I mean, I use control lightly in the sense that I don't think you should ever obsess over trying to control the change in your life, because that'll make you only feel more out of control. Changing things up and embracing change for yourself is only going to shift your perspective on change in a way that makes you see it as a positive and enlightening and a transformation rather than something that is bad or negative or pulling you away from the things you love. No matter what, your core will always be there. Your core of core, your morals, things that are important to you, they're always going to be there. You just might have to see it in a new perspective. For those of you guys that are going through things that you don't necessarily like, or you're feeling stale, or your mindset's bad, then even more so I suggest embracing and forcing change upon yourself in order to shift that perspective and get there sooner. And that's kind of where I've been at, and that is why so much has been changing in my own life. Those of you guys that follow me on Snapchat, you guys might already know this, but I actually just changed around my apartment in the sense that I needed that fresh perspective. And everything is so easy to look at differently when everything around you is different. And you can do that with your hair, you can do that with your clothes, you can do that with as simple as changing the blankets and pillows on your bed, or like the things that you hang up on your wall or the background on your phone. Help you embrace change and also show the world that you're ready for it and you're excited about it and you're looking at it as an inspirational thing rather than a terrifying thing. And I know that that's not easy to do, especially if you're at a point in your life where you really don't want anything to change. There was probably another point in your life where you felt that same way, whether you were 5, whether you were 10, 15, however old you were, where you thought this is as good as it's ever going to get and I don't want it to ever change. And then look at where you're at now and think, oh my God, if only I'd known that it was only going to get better, or it was only going to get even more crazy, or things that I wouldn't even imagine could have happened. You might not even know that the change is only pushing you into something even better, helping you transform to the life that you actually are meant to have or you really want to have. But if you spend too much time holding on to what's in front of you, you aren't going to be able to get there. Even if you do get there, you won't even notice that you're there, and you won't harvest it. You won't take advantage of it because you'll be so focused on holding on to the past. Another quote that I really like is, if you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. And if you're at peace, you're living in the present. This is something I'm really trying to adapt into my life right now, because I've been waving in and out of tiny little bouts of feeling a little bit low or feeling a little bit stressed and anxious, and I'm trying to anchor myself to the present moment. Once I accept that for what it is, I am at peace and I feel good and I feel like anything could happen. And if I can change my perspective to see this present moment as something that is working with me and for me, past decisions led me to right here at this moment, and everything changed for this reason. Check into what's going on around you and embrace what's happening in front of you, because then you don't have to feel depressed about the past. Then you don't have to feel anxious about the future. You can just be in tune with what's going on in front of you, and you can sync yourself to it, and you can embrace it and be inspired by it and get excited about it, because everything is so unknown. And even the things we're trying to plan for in the future, there are these moments where everything is so pivotal and it changes, and it sometimes isn't for the best and sometimes it is, but no matter what, it's always working for us. And so that is why change is always such a good thing. It's so good for your soul, it's so good for your perspective, and it's so good for your life. It's always teaching you something or bringing you something. And if we can just check in and get our minds there, then we can see all change as good change, or transitional change, or change that is bettering us. Even if it isn't that great in the moment, it's going to put us to somewhere better in the future. You just have to kind of have faith in that and trust that. And I know that that's not an easy thing to do, and that's partly the reason behind my faith tattoo. There's a million reasons why I got it, but that was one of them, is to have faith that what is happening for you and not to you, and to have faith in yourself that no matter what does happen, you have built a strong enough core within, even if at one point in your life you may not have seen it that way. I think if you have faith in yourself and you have faith in your life and you have faith in what's happening around you in the universe and all of that corny ass shit, I know that it sounds so corny sometimes when I say it out loud, but truly and honestly, if you have faith in the good, there's no way you can fail. I really don't think that you can if you constantly keep that faith. Coming back out of that deep little hole we just got real deep there, but climbing back out of that and tying it all back into what's going on right now. I'm going to be doing some changes on my channel. My website is also down right now for maintenance because I'm changing things up. I need to just shake things up a little bit, and my upload days are going to change, and my banner, my out card, all of that fun stuff. I'm getting a whole new vibe going. I'm going to be doing a lot more fashion posts again. vegan recipes, things like that on my website. So that is something to look forward to because I haven't been using my website for over a year now. So I'm really excited to relaunch that. Not only do I have a Dreamcatcher release date that I'm going to be letting you guys know of really soon, but I also have another book that I've been working on, and they're basically going to be open journal entries that I've collected and I'm going to release to you guys. And they're journal entries that I've kind of written to myself in terms of talking myself out of certain mindsets, and each one of them kind of has a theme, like when I'm afraid that I don't have enough time, or afraid that my life isn't going to be the way I want it to be. Those are things that I used to write about to myself in order to talk myself through. And I've collected a bunch of them, typed them out, and I'm going to release them as an ebook to you guys as kind of like mini pep talk. That is something that I'm going to be releasing to you guys, and I'm so excited about it. So once my website is relaunched, posts are going to start going up every Wednesday on there, and one of the things that's going to be released on there very soon is that ebook, and then Dreamcatcher is going to shortly follow. For my channel, my new upload days are going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays, but that said, the whole actual relaunch of my channel is going to be May 1st, so there won't be any videos from this video until May 1st. It's only 1 week. I know, I'm sorry. I need that chunk of time because I'm away for a few days, but also because I've accumulated some footage and some videos so that I'm ahead of schedule. I've been working on this for the past week and a half, and one more week of working on it and everything will be up and in your face, and you guys are gonna get so sick of me because I'm just gonna be posting a bunch of crap all the time. Yeah, there's just a bunch of things happening. My apartment has changed, my life has changed. You guys now know I have a boyfriend. There's just so much good change happening. And when it boils down to it, I don't think you have to change your life to be confident. I think you have to be confident to change your life, and that has been my mantra every time I feel like I lose a little bit of faith or hope in myself. Stay confident, have faith in yourself, be confident in the universe, be confident with yourself, and everything is gonna work out just fine, trust me. So that is it for my coffee talk, and I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you guys to the moon and back, and I will see you guys all next week on May 1st. Bye guys! I only drank like half of this and now it's cold. Thank God it was decaf, no waste. La 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 la.